What's up, nerds? Back with another video, another Lifting with Luke, the ski season edition. Previously, we did some squats and some like leg day type stuff. Now we're going to be doing some of the cardio as well as the stability exercises. I've got some shaved Brussels sprouts that normally I obviously eating right before you do cardio or eating while you're on cardio is not exactly the optimal way to do things, consume your calories. This was just I had something going on at 12. I started getting on the bike at basically 125, and so I just wanted to get them down because I didn't want to eat soggy, gross Brussels sprouts or cold Brussels sprouts or reheated microwaved. So just knocked them down. It's really not a huge meal or anything, so I'm fine with exercising as I've just eaten them. So today is a strength endurance day as well as a stability day. And this was a pretty brutal, absolutely brutal bike day. So I have got the machine on a quote-unquote fun ride today. There's like mountains, there's fun rides, there's training stuff that you can do on the bike, pre-programmed stuff. And so I figured, what better than to, let's have a fun lift, leg lift, even though it's not a lift. I mean, I am spending a majority of this time with my legs under tension. I did very briefly for some sections give my legs a little bit of a little bit of assistance with my arms for about 30 45 seconds, but then I went back to attempting to not touch them at all and to just really give it my all, pure as I could, as much as I could. I ended up putting on some music because I thought about putting on, like a commentary video or a podcast or something like that. I needed some jammies to get me through this because this was a 80-ish, 90-ish% resistance going on this. And this was 30 minutes on the bike. I ended up at the end I tied my record. I didn't break my record. I mean, I did set a calorie goal, or a calorie stuff, but I mean, that's like, that's just, random calculated. It doesn't exactly, it said I burned 450 calories on the little bike screen, but how much, how close is that to reality? That's kind of a toss up. However, what's not a toss up is how long and how far I bike rode. And so this was 30 minutes and 11 miles, which calculates out nice and clean to 22 miles an hour over the course of the ride. And the goal is to break 22 miles an hour. Who knows how that's going to take shape. I'm not sure. But that's the goal is to keep my legs, quads, ass, calves, keep everything under as much tension as I possibly can, and really emphasize that, because when you're going down the mountain, you're going to, especially, I mean, if you are maybe East Coast, not as much. However, if you are West Coast skiing and you are going top to bottom, some of these runs can take 3, 4, 5 minutes. And you are, or at least for me, I am going at a minimum 50-ish miles an hour, 45-ish miles an hour. And when I get to slopes, I can hit as high as 65, 70 miles an hour. And that is I'm not a small guy. I am about 205 pounds. Since I've been lifting more, I'm creeping up. I'm like 208. I'd like to get this down. I'd like to lose more fat. Again, that's part of why, I'm doing more, performing more cardio. This is a more of a strength endurance cardio. However, I'd say 3 times a week. So I do my leg day, I do a specific squat day, and then I do an additional 2 cardio days, as well as, I'm constantly every day monitoring my calorie intake. But skiing is not easy. When they talk about skiing being one of the more not anaerobic, aerobic exercises, it's because when you are performing skiing correctly, you are in an athletic stance, you are pushing against gravity, pushing against your skis, or pushing into your skis, pushing against your skis bouncing back. I mean, there are a lot of forces at work. It requires a lot of stability and balance, and it is not an easy thing to do, especially while you are, really exerting so much force. So, strength endurance is huge. And that's why I'm just like, I mean, if it doesn't look like my legs are pushing that fast, despite this being at a 4 times speed, it's because there are definite times where I've got to slow down for a hot second, and I need to. I mean, I keep my legs moving, I keep the wheel turning, but there are times where, okay, so I'm gripping down on the bike, I'm gripping forward on the bike. There's times where I'm pushing majorly with my quads. There's times that I'm squeezing my glutes more for activation, and I'm really trying to keep as much of my legs involved for every second of as many seconds of this exercise, as many minutes of this exercise as possible. And this is, again, something that I think is very important for any snow athletes. You want to be able to have the raw power, as well as the stability and technique to absorb the forces. Like when you're skiing, if you hit a bump, if you are going over a hill, there's a bunch of different things. However, I think one of the most important base skills to have is, or at least, capacities to have, is a high strength endurance, or a capacity for, being able, you want to be able to keep your legs under tension for as long as possible. And towards the end of this, I'm getting close to being done. Then I'm in the cool down section of this, where you see my legs speed up significantly more. And that's because they're kind of in autopilot right now. They're just letting that tension and that, it's really just the tension, but they're just letting that tension just work its way out. They don't need to press, they're not pressing against resistance. They are just continuing to go now that the tough part of this is over. So work in not just leg day, where I've got squats, where I've got stability drills, balance drills. There are also the days like this where we do the strength endurance section. All right, so now that we have finished our strength endurance section, which was just glutes, quads, calves, we are now going to do the low back and core activation part of this routine. And this is about a 45-minute combination between the bike and the core activation, low back activation. And the importance of doing this is that it just gets you feeling incredible. Like throughout the day, you are either bent over, you're in whatever position you are with your low back and your core, and you're not thinking about the way your posture should be. Maybe you're doing a posture check once in a while. Performing these movements in the morning, especially this farmer's walk with alternating side holds, it just gets your muscles activated. It gets your core involved. It gets your low back involved, and you don't have to worry as much about posture checking. Me personally, like even right now, I sit in a chair without any back. I don't have low back problems. I'm not feeling low back issues. I am And that's because I spend the time in the morning, I spend my days constantly performing some sort of maintenance, some sort of activation, some sort of mind muscle connection, some sort of movement routine that not just increases my happiness, there are serotonin and various chemicals released when you exercise. There's things feeling good about just, consciously. It's like, oh, I feel like I started off my day strong. I didn't start off in pain, lazily, mucking around. I started my day off being productive. There's all these things to it. And not only does it increase your life in all of those different ways, but it also does make you a better skier and a better lifter. Thanks for watching.
Like the vid, leave a word, drop a comment, get absurd. Subscribe if you had some fun. We drop bangers one by one. Check the description down below for all the links you need to know. Thanks for watching, you're the best. Now